Good afternoon, viewers. This year we are on your screen once again with our security alert session. And this year we are lucky to have the fire service with us. Last year we had the session with the police service. So I would allow my guest to introduce himself to our viewers.
Good afternoon, viewers. As I'm in the auditorium, we will use the language that all of us are common with. Nami asunje enkamo. May the peace of the Lord be with you.
Amen.
My name is Joseph Ufwe Tete, sub-officer. I work with Ghana National Fire Service, Fire Academy and Training School. I'm also married to Mrs. Annabella Ufwe with 2 kids. And I've served with the National Fire Service for the past 11 years at the Fire Academy and Training School.
Okay. Mr. Joseph Ufwe-Tete, you are once again welcome.
Thank you, madam.
All right. And the security alerts, no, your ne fire service for no, and I will be in our so. And to know, the share your jumejino, I say, Abraye Bisa, Mr. Ufwe say, Yakase. Fire service now. Who are the fire service personnel?
Madam Wasi, Meda Etief was Wasi. Na medical case, mema some brief history and sana about the main subjects in Ankasadu. Na Niawumni, before the establishment of fire service, it was the traditional rulers who were in charge, called the Asafo Company. And then in 1956, the colonial governor or the government appointed somebody or employed somebody to be an advisor by the name GS Leader. From there, in 1963, then an Act 219 was passed by Parliament. So then the fire service was now formed fully. From there, in 1997, Act 573 was also passed to establish fully on the prevention, safety of the fire service, including the firefighting. From there, we now spell out our aims, objectives, and the functions of the service. So when I talk of the objective, is to prevent and manage undesired fires. Then when I talk of the aims, we are to save life, properties, and render humanitarian services. And sometimes that is where the public used to ask questions. The public no bisa questions say humanitarian services no as saying.
Silanka me pese me baby say what are the rules of fire service?
Okay.
And one now okay ya na say and no.
And one na me to aso
Okay, okay.
Yes. And emre pii no nyanti am single out the humanitarian service aspect and then say yeah in quote e bi mutabo yesobo say ye tonsuo ye yes say na ne wo mne humanitarian service aspect na wo mne say ko say institutions omuhia ye moa ne ahen say ombaba ye penifo no maka na yakomo mu sa moa no en na ya bia mebinu behu say bia fire tender bi e wo e bia theater bi and hospital bi na e bia so omuhia issue bia na yakomo mu free ye in charge. And see, aside that, you buy a functions now. And also one, we have to educate the public for them to create awareness of what fire do cost in our society.
Okay.
We also advise on safety. We also train personnel. We also give technical advice to building plan in terms of fire certificates.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We also evacuate victims in terms of road traffic pollution. That is what we normally term accidents.
Oh, okay.
Yes. We also have the rescue team and other functions. So if I may spell out the other functions, we have also included drowning. If somebody is drowned, we call on us, we do that. We also include some first aid, both basic and advanced. Because initially, when incident occur, definitely they are trapped victims, they are wounds. So if you don't know how to at least give CPR, you don't know ABC, how to open the airway, breathing and circulation, you may injure the person the more. You should know these basic things before handling a casualty.
You've caught my mind on something. That is the advice on building. You give advice on building. I want to know, do we normally fall on you when you are building? How many, if you want to strike percentage, what is the percentage of people who comes to you when they are about to build? Because this one...
Thank you very much. You know, Ghana, we have a lot of stakeholders. And in this case, when it comes to the approval of such drawings, though we have the technical expertise, but in terms of safety, we also have to come to the premises. And to talk of the industrial buildings, the commercial buildings. For the domestic ones, that one are our normal residents. So we don't factor them much as compared to the industrial ones and the commercial ones. Because, for instance, if you put up a bank, then the weight or the size of the door is just a normal size, that is 3 feet or 36 inches. When it's not okay, how many persons will go out in a minute? There will be stampede. And then also, we are not only talking about the physical persons, but they are disabled or physically challenged persons. So we have to create a conducive environment for persons that even if you can't see, you should be able to find your way out without somebody assisting you.
So it's in a nutshell, they come
to inspect your structured drawing.
So when there is a building without this advice, what do you do? Do you bring it out or you...
We have agencies or we have paid persons that are to supervise that particular section.
All right.
But then if you want the fire certificate, we have 2 separate things. You have to bring your drawing for approval, then you make a request for your fire certificate.
All right. Means that even the domestic homes too can follow you when they want to.
Yes, please.
But they normally don't come. As for them,
yes.
they normally...
For them, normally, whatever you use for a business sector, definitely a lot of lives are involved. So you can't just do anything anyhow.
All right.
Yes. They need to consider your columns, your beams, whether they are up to the requirement, the standard. Yes. Then when we are talking about the exit, the escape route, after everything, you have to create an assembly point that if there's any emergencies, there should be hand count done at the assembly points. So I may also like to educate the public. If you go to your workplaces, anytime you want to go out for a break or breakfast or whatever, you need to tell somebody. Because if emergency occur, definitely when we come in, we like to ask how many people reported for duty on that day, so that we know whether there are lives in there, so that we rescue the life first before fighting the fire. Yes.
Thank you so much for such advice. Then we come back to our main reason, the fire education.
Yes, please.
Educating the public on fire safety. So what are the measures individuals or the public should take in case there's fire outbreak?
Thank you very much.
You will be na say eja start say eja to ho no ma edan na individuals like nipa ekuekuo no ana say nyina no edan na ebetimi aye ede abo ye ho ban efi eja hihye.
Yo, me da say ye ka fire education na say yen fire service for no I said ye say we say ye ko fie mu ana institutions mu na ye church ro mu nyama omuya e de agya hyehyɛ de ebeba na nyama omuya ebebra nase. That's the prevention aspect. Na say oba no the fighting aspect so you were the basic equipment you use a bit is a fire blanket, fire extinguishers. And also only blanket can or thick towel be and not blankets be I will fear thick. I bet me I prevent it I don't obey but the better of the first day aye. But some remember the main subject no obey say what is fire in the first place? Fire is defined as the chemical reaction between heat, oxygen, and then the fuel. When these elements come together in their right proportion, automatically there will be fire. Or the burning process in which smoke, light, flames are involved. So, Semibisa, and that's a mecha. The causes of fire. Nedi kind, if you're super. So, one here, nobody here will definitely there will be fire. That's what we call the carelessness aspect or the negligent aspect of it. And I saw about quite a friend ignorance. Senipan on nim. I did cry or cry on nim, butaya, or quatradi, and on nim the use, and on nim. Say, we me funny yes, say, and I'm here to see. I said, never ban who no. I dare on nimity, because mayhem, amas, any pardon. For instance, if I say, what could talk iron say no, is rated. The voltage I was so far then, if I used to ABR, baby, I used to a rented place apartment. Uko who need grab a electrical who the right cables I was so far jumano. Wanyano sa, baby, I socket naka way I used to standard 2.5 cables. If I run socket, you know, I call you 1.5 and no for light aspect. Before Obehono, na power source na action, a brew appliance no so our socket in the mono, and it may cause fire. Yeah, call your right kitchen so a be other than Yadiani. Said you, baby, air castle, mess so much, no, and sana matani gas, no, a music, matani gas, no, and sana my so much, no. But gas yadibia, and we but only means why a very free and simple, a very safe. Near woman, so obey you gas and I. Maybe I'm a child. So much no first. I said what turning on the regulator.
Okay.
Now what's up? But the woman not be a regulator. No gas on the can eba. At the also back on ground. So me and one so third one. To me also no. Now a trigger. Now brother one this. Only you so are. The kind regulator cylinder valve no doom the head no first. Not trap. Gas in a water tube, no, a bed pee, nothing, doom, Ben and Anka Sansu.
It's already in kind or meeting, I bet you can't call cylinder no.
Yes, so Obesoa, Obedica, a cylinder valve, no.
Okay.
No one like too much, no. I said, be Ben and
okay.
Regulator. Now, so we never be doom now. The kind for doom, cylinder valve, no first.
Okay.
Now, trap gas in a water tube, no, a bed pee for Ben and now fed automatically, no. We doom. We no so.
Ma maybe so na ye na ye de no esisu abrebia gas valve no esisu de bia abrebia na ye doom be na ne ho no de no
so ni nyina
okay
enye kane no auto cylinder no be si abonti no atutu kokutu no di tube na de afem it's a leakage bi kura be wa abonti out cent no first no the cent no is normal but say no nyama omudi ye no e ma leak kura out cent no what is sent, you know? And say, you oh, kitchen now, Benano, and at least 3 meters away from the cylinder, and 3 meters away from the banana is wrong practice.
Okay.
A boy, no man, close to leaky, no a chat, no a shifty cylinder, no, a banana, or ye crack a fide, a baby close, and no one tapo. To be sound, salodi, said big to touch ma, dear BC, there will be explosion. After so, say, oh, raw kitchen honeymoon, not to gas scent, say gas a liquid kitchen, make our chow, and yet, who shall be our socket, and also switch. Because, and yes, escape if one man, so hang out at the ship.
Okay.
A pet vacuum be now, at the moment, and then they catch fire. The explosion about it, boom.
Okay.
That is how it works. Because at minus 0 degrees Celsius, it's already at its boiling point. Tinia has a bandicate fire, creepy. They say, I saw. The bad sir, because if you are one whom you say, oh, Nasia promotion be a minion and see, me feel for us or that yummy, and then maybe for us or that yummy, Debbie. Wait, dear, really practically, you have not done your work well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Then say about the third aspect now, there were near a friend overloading. overloading of your electrical sockets and your electrical appliances say overloading and interest be out in your be best socket back on saying natural overloading. But the requirement of power now at the end of socket moon and no Nadi Valley near me can because socket if I understand 30 amp socket. Now the blender is the same socket, but one more extension board. Now you need to extension board was off filling holes in a woman now. There be antisa extension board such as say baby out here power not cheap power free. Baby a one they are called baby out here power no. That is the meaning of extension. But on your side extension now feel the one socket or the fridge have a share basic extension board no so or the kettle a basic so the fan standing fan is so. Na nyama me bobo so nya ye ade bia atwi current yie every 1000 was echo but wo fia nyama me so kaboma ebru 3000 wo convert ya 30 am socket no na ho ode no entime no ete bon se na spark bi efri so akin wo ti tretre bi sa asan na wo ti ni nyina ne kire wo se bibi e tochima but because onim ho hwe nti wo fri so we normal ete bedu me bi kwa so na ho ti sa asan na maka so ene dem sa de no enye juma papa because na wan ti sa asan ne ti are migrated to different level. Everyone require your socket. I form brown which be and black which be the surface. Then you naturally say there's a burning substance in there. So you odumu socket now, and not just say there's the power. There's no power. Just what cut the link to the floor of the surface. But behind the socket, the wire no wire no still there's power. As soon as take it power off completely, this say maybe I odumu message and now you cut main line and there is what take care of the power system, no? But there was doom socket, still there's power in the house, there's power in the electrical system. Yes. I say about the fourth one now, near natural occurrences. When they say, you walk hamatam, now you walk grassy, and they are experiences, bush fires near the idea. Say you, Obo might be a rocks be. Baby, I don't know if I'm a big boy and I should be toy. After I do dry season, baby, I want to be chalky and then you're safe. At within the dress in the grass and yard dry, at me grow from that origination, a bob, means I spark and a grass will form automatically. At me so. I feel tender and striking so and so at me cause sick. Anything, yeah, put tin. So see, a bunch was on the lighting arrest system. Now, they are bought a straw horn. Nebaya said, "Baby, Sabah, and no better take it care of." Yes, I face a bar, your main switch, and now we now regulation. Everyone might be the fuses near what we knock the beginning about cut off the power. No, about ferretation. Now, say I will woman, me switch, I cut it off. It's be mammy, or no so bar. That's okay. And a flexible will be war fuses in whom you're not take a crack. After the Wakoyi 1.5. Now, why won't bear me? No, that shall. Say, and say, power no say problem be bang there's power frustration, say power a cost on neighbor for Naka we beg regulating a cut off amount. It's a cut is abuse. Never ban say a fat message straight to appliance. But whoever feels a biasano message and cut it, but you are putting burden and load on the appliances. Definitely there will be fire outbreak in your home one day, if care is not taken. All right. Then the fifth part is what we call arson. Where there are now disputes. So if you are being will be a manson, and I'll be when you be wasem, and now you will be mu, and I'll be per compensation be a coin bishop. Now on Nagasa, Washeda, Wapayo, now Washi, Yamano. The fan say, be a sushi be or running institution on say, Yaman Kuyi, after the Boka, work a so Tomuka, by wire insurance. Insurance said, be here, and yeah, there'll be more compensation, they are not about coin bishop. It's on Nagasa, now I have her. Why, I know being will be a train as I said, be woman, so I know Japan, be woman, so say, be a fee, a car, and say, Newakan, or new waffle, or new scaswood, you have a Sunday cockot, and they say, and your idea, and your over, and more, you know, obey, yes, and so. So, your free war, your idea be a friend, triangle of combustion. Kwanya me san so a nam so a share a tabapadi as animal me sanya my boss we you were the fourth element so by way at your level no limited to the train no naka the fourth element near the tetrahedron the chemical chain yes by no me the best kukum na ya focus on the three elements no the three elements near one oxygen 2 fuel, and the third one, it is anyama miɛnsa ukambo ma the heat, fuel, oxygen. Nyama miɛnsa ukambo ma the right proportion a ejabeshi. It is a triangle is where your car hono.
Okay.
A form ya DBC.
Okay.
At a moment na form is adian. Near so over collapse one of the bond.
Okay.
What me collapse back one. They say what bre janasi.
Okay.
And not in a emre pino, Samu se fast of his for your friend, say mra, bedroom beja. In your dua, ne, you say, Hanaha, ne, you shoot. The idea is you say you're cooling. They say you eliminated the heat, no?
Okay.
Yeah, you heat in a film. Maybe you take care of one of the elements, you know. So, no sooner possible and then you're available. But the oxygen aspect, you know, which we call the bracket, near me can't say, I say, was sack be, and our blanket be, your fire blanket so hot, no, the idea, a catastrophe.
And no, say you're waiting.
Upa wet. Said, I didn't hear good one day, who has over wet. I wet in a week. Sack maybe a sack near a week. Who wet in a crusader species, the horse is now woven.
But
a more near tick. Then, yeah, I did down say it. But the cataswa, a vet me up wide man. When you have a back cruising from Mano, man from Mano, and your access to a jano. Yes. Okay. I feel the fuel aspect. Say, Bia would draw an eshe or cruit an eshe. Near any young, a young cannon, you know. Near him so best separate alone. None the eshe and no come better eshe as she are. And you will be a
say, yeah. Nasebiana, a fee, mental, dear, Asia. Between kitchen, coffee, the gas, and EDP, say, oh, say, 4 concerning okay.
Say, no sooner possible, no work good. I didn't issue be a dictator, but matter. No, I say, but yeah, I'm ripping your bath gun now. Said, we see what Macalana and me. Well, said, the Biajanation, near some edition, other buildings, and adjoint buildings, never moved besides. I don't know. A Janet she was point A, now move because I didn't point A, now Musa contest point B. Near woman, when they start now say I'm more way, Niakan Hubaya. A better so we are checking the spread of fire. Never so in fact and travel from one place to another. But you were quite hold the bear for fire fast travel to another apartment. That is the direct flame contact, the conduction, conversion, and then radiation.
Okay.
That is, you can't do far now. You do to say, but other property now can move by. Nebeya, a jano, and spread the alcohol. But I'm the piano, who got why so because we're a bag in it, and I yes, I'd be antis. Go when the statistician. It is a savage crown now. When young pepper say original, but when a Jan can eat, it was a young woman. What is that?
Let's say a jato baby.
Yes,
but I see a jato baby. I was here to me, baby. Omo enyan to no
good.
I was here to me born by
good.
Na ya sa ko
say yes.
Baby ehye no ansa na sa ko born by ya nya ne sa ejane a ehye ne ye pese ye kwanche de ehye na edum de ehye na se ese fi ho eba baby a eno so enhia na se ya hwe japade bebre enu ntina abre no omo try say omo back cause something called fire belt, right?
Yes.
It's a form of fire belt to break to
yes, fire belt is mostly used for the rural fires, in terms of bush fires.
Bush fires.
Yes,
okay, so it's preventing properties that have not been damaged from the action that so you may save more properties. All right.
So with the attempt here, you say you're checking the spread of fire. To the adjoint buildings. Okay. Yes.
And you know, Yama, Mr. Fuya, young Atia says, say you if you must say, a jar, tohonoma, say your blanket, yemfa, me and Finguso, say, only blankets, and I say, a Eddie, and tofu, and I say, we in Yama, Eddie, or gas, or petrol, or kerosene, or oil, you know, you feel sight or something, a jano enter and soon, and I also said, say yenya ye wo nsuo ye betimi de nsuo
jade bi wo no ma odi nsuo ya emmoa
ti say ye ntare mu de nsuo
I can be by the classification of fire.
Okay.
Ne be ya beti ase yi fire so no ya classify no into various classes. You have class A, B, C, and D. The class A ni liquid fires or flammable liquids. And you have class B, flammable class A near flammable solid, and class B near flammable liquids.
And you bet him, so now what
Yes, and I'm a teacher. And there's our class C, flammable gases, and the D, flammable metals.
Okay.
Near women, near Adia, a D, is a paper, and no, your class one in us, I didn't know, share class A. Now, so about class B, and Mohunama, to say tap in time, or your kerosene, petrol, diesel, you know, classify under the class B, that's the liquid fires. Yes, it is our oil, idea, you are directions, you know, to me. A woman said the bomb by but said Jacana at a mission. Ubako could powder, banshee, Nina, a car, the solid, yes, Nina to me. Yes, your candle, your wasi, Nina, a ship. Yes, and a gas and put a medical abo so that. I feel metals and then a year or more year, sir, metals, when you man say, well, who need them still was an idea. I say, heat, no, we didn't need that, you know. It's mission. Yes, so one put safety measures in place at mission. I feel so by a few more than Nasiano because of Diani Buoni, whom Konabanti, we started so much metals and some biotic materials be a year roofing. And look, I am more dangerous near TNJC. Yes, because in the woman is POP. Yes, and yes, I would who you put there to me preventive fire because a share for me some idea for charcoal. For charcoal silver for me, a jump to me penetrate easily. But with the metal, I brought 1 point success hit. No, that point is at the only body point already. It's a met. It's a roof no mudia. I brought move shots some rescue. Me a book.
So, Matia say, yeah, yeah, roofing.
Yes,
and cut it to the other, and can be a Diana, and then society in the other.
And Nuna Maka said, Ceciano, share the materials involved now. A bimu free said, Diano, and yeah, all that available. Necessary, very expensive. There you can say, modern technology, but me in person, condemn you be a juma, and by the year. So, who see there, no design manship now, or protecting here, or certain mechanism is in place. You are betting I issue. But I in place, even with Joanna Cross and the bed, a beshi. Yes.
But Nancy, I need attached to say perception, said misperception.
Yes.
You say a janitor, baby, you're back from one, Mumbai Janet, senior, a year. And so you fast of a pimple, I don't know if it's so clear. Okay.
I can send me rapia padama, my
baby.
Beside near woman, a Juma, nay, Sir, all reported Jumama at the operational side, or the kind a checky, a junior mouth debate, Cardio debate
for the day.
For the day. I first nip power on bed, personals under you check everybody's strength. No, I sign you be within the responsibilities. I first your hands at the ID communicating and if you go to Ober Fred, your fire master control, no report to whether you are available on air, whether your frequency is laudable on air or not. Nothing driver no, I check it the oil, everything on the vehicle. No, I move a vehicle, no say, it's me, a Yedima said the way I was saying, Manana, as an commission. At the moment, the BBC are from pet. Why you're ready, available, say, oh, go. Yes, man. But a minute pino, Obo Honoma, said you, say, immediate license, you be at work, Obo no better that's what my testify. Now, or did you fail? Or better, they now, or friend or this had the fell. You begin 2-3 times, no, can't he? A bit so Honoma, because of the abuse that is the benefits and a catica, say, by us abusing, let me brassy. I feel, said the panocraft, say, be a Gabi Siwa Medina. Since, or how to why confused. I lose the control of whatever it is happening. At your friend, Mr. Kwame, Pacho Medina Hifa, my road map, near whom quite a better side ever do. Hello, Mr. Fires, Mr. Medina, by hanging on. It's your bed day near your location. Yet, dear, when you're freya, less than a minute, you hear your father causing your record to your office in your dispatch, fire enough running call, whatever call, and your banner frow. In a minute, you should be able to dispatch the appliance.
Okay.
So, dispatch information I can or blah uban, where those were appliance a crew of 6 or 7. They is in charge aside the driver. So I don't know air communicate. So I don't know any communication about that. It will be so your communication. If you don't know or pick side information, it's in the air. I have business and I can say, "Sabi ufrea." It's possible could be because of our refugee. Would a jaunama man your friend? No be a number line, no different than your personal line. Tauna man, man, your friend, and so no money. The banner for any difficult. I throw back no my direction. Now the train a crowd of vantage point to be a you do over to match a coin. Because if I say, "Yaya recruitment," therefore be free enough. Maybe I say, "No, you're here in the mother, not to Accra." And to me, you walk around Accra and to me, who the topography of the Accra. No, be our homo. It's your bar. People not go play dance. Meanwhile, so I didn't walk. Didn't cry, didn't be cry, as I said.
And GPS, sir, Siciano, I beg for technology in existence. It is increasing. And in the Mokano, Munya GPS system Nibium, as a Nipan Freya, or Mao baby location now. You could use a GPS to track the destination.
Thank you very much. We are now advancing. So what we did now is that send a fire call and our Freya. Call the nearest station around the vicinity.
Okay.
Never ya fina all located to headquarters. Headquarters to air dispatch will be. But sometimes it's a system that we are all using. And you know it is human management. So sometimes it can be systemic failure. That maybe what you are calling it is not going through for you. But then we have other numbers. If you call the 192, sometimes the person may say he has called. But if you ask which number did you call, he say 191. You are calling police. So if the police don't respond to it, if they respond, they have to direct call to fire service. You see it. So if you call that number, meaning you are not calling this directly. So somebody has to receive the information and dispatch it to the other.
Okay.
Or if you ask, you say, well, I've called maybe 193. 193, you are calling ambulance.
Okay.
Yes. But all these institutions are mentioning their names. We work in hand. When there's a fire call, our first one is we focus on rescue and firefighting. So when we are coming, we normally call the police. The police come there to provide security. Because people take advantage of some situations. Whilst they think they are saving your life, they are rather robbing people to pay for.
I think your work is very key or vital in our lives. So why is it that the police service always have this advertisements on the media, but fire service, you don't have such advertisements? At least, Anka, every now and then, multi-season police service, you know, or do advertisements about media na advertisement. More no sanka usan komo so abribiano. More anytime say so it's an accident, but it's here poa. Why not say a friend first?
Was somebody can
fire service first, but everyone say a ambulance. Is it not because the education has not gone down well with the public?
May I say, now the American can say, MLP, say a call firefighting now. You try to educate public, but public also in quotes this time, a bit more quote, I just said, only a mocha saprapono, or one year read the possible to an advice crowd, or the man gala, said, be sensitive, you ma, go about fast side, as of ABCD. Now, Edmund say, or Mraum, or Bian Edjuma, at in okay, you will PROs, or Muya said, Jumano. Aha, and then I share, but or voltage programs are, or Muya educate the public.
By any time young meeting, the amount of so county interest, isn't it? You don't say a jato hanuma, when I was a friend first, accidents, when I was a friend first.
Sometimes, near woman, a beer accident in a sin. Sabu, the beer, there's life involved. But a beer, a minor one, beer, life will be injury.
I'm talking about the serious one.
But the serious ones, was so fraying fast before because civilians, moment now there's impact and not there's collision, whether the head-on collision, whatever side car on it roof, whatever on it wheel, whatever. If it happens this way, definitely there's impact, there's a travel because sometimes we do forget ourselves. The seat belt is in the car, right? But we don't use it. We will not fasten our seat belt while driving or while sitting in the vehicle. So if there's any cohesion or there's any crash on a vehicle, definitely the part of the body will travel. So when it happens, the first suspect is the spine, the vertebrae. Definitely when they get affected, you can paralyze forever. So anytime that we are coming, we have that idea that any scene that we are going, you have to protect your spine because that's what controls the human body. So we have something called a longboard. When we get there, that's what we use to slide you out. So we don't just mishandle the casualty. But with the civilian, they don't know. They just pull you and drag you out. Sometimes you are trapped by the murders. When they are talking about the pedals, that is the braking system, the accelerator, the clutch, the brake. Maybe your legs is trapped by it. But with the civilian, they will just come and drag you out of it, pull your leg out of it. But for us, we have equipment that we are equipped with such equipment, such as the combi tools, the spreader, the dashboard ramp, everything. We have wedges trucks to stabilize the car, so for the car not to be moving. As long as we also communicate with you, have paramedics among us, communicate to give you an assurance that there's hope for you. So that within a short possible time, we have something called a golden hour. Within 60 minutes, we should be able to rescue you to a safety.
For those who followed us, I know very well that you've learned a lot this afternoon. And to wrap up, I want to give us your final advice to the public as to what we should do in terms of fire outbreak in our various homes or workplaces.
Thank you very much. There are a lot, but I think we have captured on the vital point.
Yes.
But what I'll talk in addition, what I will add in addition is that our extinguishers, how do we use them? What type of extinguisher do we use in our homes? We have different types of extinguishers, but I'll mention few. We have the dry chemical powder extinguisher, that is one. We have the CO2, that's the carbon dioxide extinguisher. Then with these two, for it does a lot for us. We have the foam extinguisher, we have the water extinguisher. But the first two that I've mentioned, normally that's what we normally see them in our locality or in our environment. They work in lines, both the CO2 and then the dry powder. But what happens is this: the dry powder, it creates a dusty environment that compared to the CO2. The CO2 is the type with the long horns, or somehow with sanction horn like a shower horn. Then with the dry powder, it has a tube, a long tube. But here is the case: people buy it, or people don't even buy it at all. When they buy it, they don't even know the uses. When you want to teach them, they will come out for dedication. So when you buy such a extinguisher, the one that is dry powder, most of them have gauges on them. They have a regulator, they have a gauge on it. So the gauge, they have the indication of green, they have indication of red, they have indication of yellow. So when it is on green, the bar is on green, meaning it is fully charged, it is active for operational use. If it falls to red, it means that though there may be content in it, but somebody might have tempered the valve. And then also, if maybe it fall to the yellow, it may be that maybe it has overfilled. That one, there's no problem with it. Then, upon that, we have two categories under the dry powder, which is the gas cartridge, and then we have the store pressure. So no matter with the store pressure, they come with the regulators or the...
So which one do we need in our home?
I hope that I'm coming. Before I land, we'll get all the... Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm full package, but because of the time frame, I will not be able to touch on some few things. At our homes, in the kitchen, you can use what we call the CO2.
Okay.
Maybe you are cooking or something. That one is purely gas, compressed air. It does not create any dust. But with maybe our hall where we have our electrical appliances, the fan and things, you can also install the dry powder there. That one, when you use it, it creates a dusty environment. Okay. So sometimes I do advise that where you put your air conditioners, when there's a problem with it, use the CO2. Okay. Other than that, because there are some sensors in the air condition. If you get onto it, they have to open the whole thing, blow it, and do some cleaning before maybe to reactivate. And then finally, how do we even use it at all in the first place? We have parts of the extinguisher. We have the carry handle. We have the discharge tube. So when it comes, there's a seal attached to the pin. So what we have the acronym called PASS. P-A-S-S. So the first P is to pull the safety pin. The A is to aim at the bending surface. The first S is to squeeze or strike. Then the last one is to sweep the burning substance, the fire. But then how do we do all this? Before, in the introduction of fire extinguisher, they are meant for a specific purpose. That's to take care of the initial fires. So when we ask you to define extinguisher, it's a portable appliance or equipment that is used to fight fire at their initial stages or early stages. But how do we use them? Because if you don't know how to carry it, sometimes you may carry it without pulling the pin, and you are trying to strike, the content won't come out. But just start it like the way we start car. If you turn it forward, definitely the seal will break off. Then you pull the pin gentle before you strike the lever and then the handle together. By pointing the tube. The tube to don't hold center. Hold the tip of it. If you hold the center, it will be swinging. So you'll not be able to achieve a very effective work.
All right, time too soon. Anka you go back a brave.
Before you wrap up, most of the time the drivers that do drive on our roads, please, you have used so many millions to buy your car. How much will extinguisher cost you? The 1 kg is around 60 cedis, 70 cedis. The 2 kg is around 80 cedis to 100 cedis. Some are even less.
All right.
But I can see of late some people do go and buy inferior things. The one that is like some spray. When you spray out, it's coming like a foam. They are not proper. So try and buy something proper. And also when you are driving and maybe the other security agency stopped you, we don't test extinguisher to see. We don't test them. Extinguisher we don't test. The moment you test it, you have disinfect the operational system.
Okay.
Because
so the security officer shouldn't test our...
No, we shouldn't test it.
All right.
When they ask you, you can take it and show it to them that you have it.
Okay.
If they also know it to it, then they can read on check on the gate.
All
they
right.
can also check on the expiring date of servicing. There's a label on it for servicing date.
Okay.
But because some of them are not into that, they will just ask you to test it, let's see, before you know. The day of emergency, you will not hold it, it will not work. So we don't test it to see.
Mr. Joseph, thank you so much. Say, I'm right to suffer on what me buy now. I've been my education and to say, I shall for any other four. Yenim said there was soon and then a bit me a bow will fear. Send me, I say, Jack, I told fear more. Over to me, I saw no and son our friend fire service for us on right. Say a bit cassia. Nakitron would ye, they and they. Yen to me and farm why you fear if you employ any after. Now would say, be an obi auntie. And to the son and the what's no. Also, bet to me, I educate obi. Son of Baya, Yenminano. A bedroom maybe I a jack, Shishabia, or ye fear, employ any admin. Mr. Joseph of Waitete. And as a pa, and there was a billion, Sabrabiano. Your twins are frewa. Over your friend, so no one babbe, me Akasa, and there was. Me and me and their security alert you chairman your friend matter be about phone. Na that's a officer ne the best abama appointment beam. And then only in your police and the police fire service. Next year, if you are not a way to make cool and you're better to inside from it's moon sunshine that's a fear, a be Yadamasi.